Hola, North Carolina. My name is Randall Stroud. Thank you for joining us.
And I am Jorgelina Araneda. We are both immigration attorneys with the law firm of Araneda and Stroud in Raleigh.
Ms. Araneda, let me ask you about something we see a lot of in our office. An employer comes in and wants to help a foreign worker get papers here in the U.S. Is it easy to get papers for an immigrant who's already here in the U.S. if the business is willing to sponsor him?
That's a good question, and unfortunately the answer is not a simple one. It depends on many different factors and every case is different.
All right, so let's say that someone's here with a student visa and they want to go to work after they graduate college.
It's common for foreign students to work for U.S. companies after they graduate. First, the student has a visa that has permission for them to work after they graduate. That is called Optional Practical Training, or OPT, and it can last for over a year.
Okay, but what happens when that time is up?
Well, then the student has to get a work visa, and that's usually an H-1B for college grads, which can be good for 6 years or even longer.
All right, but that situation's for someone who had a student visa and graduated from college. Let's take a different case. Suppose somebody's in the United States without papers, but now an employer wants to help that worker get papers or a work permit.
Okay, that is more complicated. If an immigrant is here without papers, even if a company is willing to sponsor the immigrant, it's important to realize that the government basically penalizes people who entered without papers in our country, even if they meet all the other requirements for the position.
You're saying that somebody who entered the United States without papers cannot get a work visa in the United States? Why is that?
That is correct, and the reason is that our laws try to discourage illegal immigration into the United States. One of the penalties for coming into the U.S. without papers is that the government will not give you an employment visa if you're out of status, and this applies even if you entered legally and then overstayed your visa.
All right, but what are the differences between a work permit, a work visa, or a green card?
Okay, well, those are three different things. A work visa is temporary permission to work in the United States for a specific position. Good examples of work visas are H-1As for agricultural workers, H-1Bs for professional workers, and the R visa for religious workers.
Well, how is a work visa different from a work permit?
Okay, a work permit, on the other hand, is temporary permission to work in any job while in the United States. For example, people from Honduras and El Salvador have temporary protected status, and they have work permits where they can work in any position that they want. But the permission is only temporary and has to be renewed every few years.
All right, so we have work visas, work permits. Now, what is a green card?
Okay, the green card is a nickname for lawful permanent residence. If you have a green card, that means you have permission to live and work in the U.S. and you can accept any position that you want.
All right. Now, can an employer sponsor a worker for a green card?
Yes, our laws do permit the sponsorship of an employer for a green card, and usually this involves having to recruit nationally and also in a local paper. Basically, the U.S. employer has to prove that they cannot find any qualified U.S. workers for the job of sponsorship.
Well, that sounds pretty complicated.
Well, it is complicated, and usually the employer has to have this recruiting campaign, and once again, they have to prove that they cannot find qualified U.S. workers for the job.
All right, well, we're out of time for today. Thank you for watching Hola, North Carolina, and call an immigration attorney if you have further questions.